You may have seen this one CBO campaign strategy that's getting really popular on YouTube right now. And to be honest, I think the strategy sucks. And in today's video, I'm going to completely dismantle this strategy and explain it to you so that you understand why it's a bad strategy. And I'm going to point you in the direction of some other strategies that make a lot more sense. Okay, so first, what is the one CBO campaign testing strategy? So for those of you that don't know, CBO stands for Campaign Budget Optimization. And that just means that you have a campaign where you are setting the daily budget at the campaign level and you're letting Meta decide algorithmically how much of that daily budget does each one of the ad sets get per day. Okay, so that's CBO. Now, the one CBO testing strategy is you basically have one CBO campaign per product line for your business, or you can also break it up by audience. And what you do is you launch new ad sets every time you want to test new ads. Okay, so you have one ad set, it's got 3 to 5 ads. Let's say it's going great, but you have some new creatives. Well, what do? You add a new ad set into that CBO campaign, and then now you make it compete for spend. And the theory is the new ad set, if the ads are better, they're gonna get more spend, and it's gonna outperform the ad set that was already there. Okay, so that is generally what the strategy is. You keep adding ad sets, and you keep, basically the CBO is like a testing ground, like it's a place where all the ad sets, they fight for spend and the strongest rises to the top. Okay, so that's, in theory, it sounds nice and it's really simple to understand, and that's why I think a lot of people gravitate towards it. But let me tell you, I've had a lot of consulting calls lately and a lot of people joining my school group that have been using this strategy, and their ad accounts are disasters. Okay, it's not working at all. And look, I don't think the people on YouTube that are teaching this strategy have any bad intention or anything like that. There's some instances, I won't name any names, but there's some instances where these people actually, they only manage very large ad accounts, okay? And to be honest, this strategy can work with very trained ad accounts with hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars of spend because pretty much everything works, in those ad accounts. So you don't have to, it's not as fragile or precarious as smaller ad accounts. And then there's other people that teach this strategy that I personally think are lazy and don't care to know how the platform truly works. And yeah, so like I said, I've been seeing a lot of ad accounts lately where they're trying to use this strategy and it's just not working at all. And I'll tell you, I don't manage the biggest ad accounts in the world, but I can say that when I was doing affiliate marketing for my own business, at the height of it, I was spending $750,000 a month of my own business's money. So, I mean, that's pretty substantial, okay? It's not the biggest ad account in the world, but I've seen some big numbers. I was spending like $40,000 a day of my own money. And even today, I'm still managing ad accounts that are spending upwards of $300,000 a month. I've also worked with a ton of smaller ad accounts. So I started off on Upwork. I started off as a freelancer, started from the very bottom. Like I went from the top of working in affiliate marketing and crushing it. That program that I was associated with didn't get funded, so it basically ended. So I had to start at the very bottom, okay? And I was working with tiny little ad accounts, mom and pop shops in New Jersey, and I worked my way up back to now spending around $25,000, $30,000 a day across my clients. Okay, so I know that large ad accounts and small ad accounts behave completely differently, okay? And that is something that some of these people, they don't tell you, right? They speak in absolutes and they say, if you're not testing this way, you're doing it wrong, right? And it's just not true, guys. This strategy, like I said, can work for larger ad accounts, but for smaller ad accounts that are more fragile, more precarious, it does not work. So you can take it from me. I've seen both sides, very large ad accounts, and I've worked on medium-sized ad accounts. Okay, so I can tell you for sure that they all act and behave differently. And there truly is no absolutes in this game, okay? There's not one perfect strategy that works for all the clients. There's definitely best practices and things that you can, reliably do across accounts, but this one CBO strategy is not it. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to explain to you why. So let's get into the ads manager and I'm going to show you exactly what I mean. All right, so there are 4 main reasons why I think this one CBO campaign strategy is a bad idea. And the first reason is that it's disruptive. It's disruptive to your ad account, it's disruptive to the CBO, and you need to understand how CBOs kind of work to understand this. So check this out. So we have a CBO campaign here with various ad sets, okay? This campaign is using the crazy method strategy. More on that in future videos, but basically this is a CBO campaign. It has $300 a day and we have 5 ad sets, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what you can see is we have an average cost per purchase of $30, let's call it, okay? So if you do 300 divided by 5 ad sets, that gives you approximately $60 per ad set. Now, we know that Meta is not going to evenly distribute the budget to each ad set, but as a rule of thumb, when you're setting up your CBOs, you should, make sure that each ad set can at least get 1 to 2 sales per day, okay? So that's just a rule of thumb. Now, this is like an ecosystem, okay? So you have to understand that if you were to say, turn off one of these, that can actually impact the others. Why? Well, they are competing for spend, right? So let's look at just yesterday, for example. Look at how this spent, okay? Here's our $300 more or less, and here's how it's spent. This top one got most of the spend, while these only got, a quarter of the spend. So what if I say just, for whatever reason, I wanted to turn this one off, okay? Well, what is that going to do? That's going to liberate $105 to the remaining ad sets, okay? And basically the remaining 4 ad sets are going to basically split up this $100. So if we do 100 divided by 4, that's going to give us an extra $25 each, more or less, right? So you have to be aware of this, because if the number is that you're liberating to the remaining ad sets is very large, it can totally throw off the optimization of the remaining ad sets, right? Because you can think of it like you're scaling those ad sets, right? Those ad sets are scaling up. So if you think about it, 25, our average cost per purchase on the maximum time period is 30. It's like each ad set is now going to get 1 more sale per day if we liberate that $100. So that's something to take into consideration. So anytime you make any change in here, you're taking a risk, because you could throw off something inside of this CBO. Let's say another thing, when I'm doing CBO campaigns, I only optimize at the ad set level. Why? Well, let's say I were to go into one of these ad sets and I wanted to optimize. So let's look at, say, the last 7 days. Okay, this ad set's at 0.63 over the last 7 days, so we can go to the ad level. Okay, it's just one ad. That doesn't help my example, but let's say there was multiple ads in here and there was one that was underperforming. Well, if I were to turn off the underperforming one, that could completely change the way that that ad set distributes the budget to the ads. That could throw off the way that that ad set gets budget amongst all the other ad sets. So that can basically skew the balance or change the balance of what's going on in here. And it can completely throw off the campaign. So basically it can have this like domino effect where you optimize the ad, it throws off the ad set, which then throws off the other ad sets, which then ruins the whole campaign. So my point is, this is a very precarious setup and you need to understand how to properly optimize these things. You can't just go and add ad sets without potentially ruining the whole thing. You can't just close ad sets without potentially ruining the whole thing. So for example, if you wanted to turn off an ad set, let's say we're back at yesterday. Let's say I wanted to turn off this ad set, but I wanted the optimization to kind of stay where it is, then I would need to lower the overall campaign budget by around $100 so that it doesn't liberate that $100 that it spent yesterday to the remaining 4 ad sets. So now these would kind of stay where they are in the optimization. If they were to absorb $100 or more, that could cause them to basically exit their optimization, go and look for more people, and potentially ruin it. So the main point here is, if you have something that's working, the golden rule of meta ads is to not touch it. It's to leave it alone, okay? 9 times out of 10, if you're working in a small or a medium ad account, you're gonna break it, okay? It's not always the case, but it's very likely that you'll break it. This is very precarious, okay? If you're working in a very large ad account, okay, you can disregard this because everything's gonna work. Your ad account's already trained, you have a ton of conversion data, you have a ton of budget, you can absorb this, it's gonna be fine. Most of you that are watching this are either in the small or medium category, okay? And I call a medium ad account like around $200 $250,000 a month or less, and then small, $0 to $50,000 a month, I would consider a small ad account, okay, in ad spend. So if you're a small or medium sized ad account, you could easily throw off your results if you start messing with this. So for me, this one CBO strategy violates the golden rule of meta ads, which is if something is working, don't touch it, okay? So that's number one, very disruptive. Now, some of you guys have probably heard of my snow globe analogy, okay? This is an analogy that helps you understand how the algorithm works. So this is it. I think of the algorithm, Meta's algorithm, like a snow globe, okay? You guys know a snow globe. So anytime you make any change in your ad account, you launch a campaign, you close a campaign, you edit a budget, you edit an ad, you turn off an ad, anything, it's like you're shaking the snow globe, and the algorithm is the snow. So the snow goes everywhere. Basically, your ad account starts acting a little bit strange. It starts acting a little bit volatile. It kind of goes all over the place, right? And if you leave it alone and you don't do any more changes, you leave it for 2-3 days, the snow settles, and the algorithm performs best in this settled state, okay? So if you're doing this one CBO strategy, and you're always adding new ad sets into the CBO, you're constantly shaking that snow globe, and you're adding volatility to your ad account for no good reason, okay? So that's point number one, okay? We have 3 other big important topics as to why this is a bad idea, but that's one of the main ones, okay? You're constantly shaking this snow globe, you're constantly off balancing your ad account, and you're not leaving it alone to settle and start performing in its optimum state. So something to think about. Now let's move on to reason number 2. What happens if you start adding new ad sets into this CBO campaign? So let's go back to our example. We have this CBO campaign, has 5 ad sets, $300 a day budget, okay? So we divide 300 by 5, right? That gives us 60. Our average cost per purchase is 30. So we can reasonably expect each one of these ad sets, more or less, is gonna get 1 to 2 sales per day, which is perfect. It's exactly what we want. Now what happens if we add an ad set in here? Okay, so now we're dividing 300 by 6 instead of 5. So now each ad set's gonna get 50, okay? So now it doesn't have enough budget to achieve 2 sales per day, right? Because the average cost per purchase is 30. Before it was getting $60 a day, more or less, okay? We know it doesn't spend exactly evenly, but just as a rule of thumb. Now you're giving each ad set approximately $50 a day. So it's more than likely not gonna get that second sale. It's almost like you're asking Meta to get you those 2 sales for 50. So you're putting pressure on the algorithm now, and you've shaken the snow globe. Okay, now what happens if we add another ad set? So now 300, and we don't change the budget, okay? 300 divided by 7 now. Well, now each ad set's getting $42, okay? That's definitely not enough to achieve 2 sales. What if we add another ad set, 300 divided by 8? Okay, now each one's getting 37. What if we add another, 300 divided by 9? Now each one's getting 33. 300 by 10 is 30. 300 by 11 is 27. So now you see, if you have 11 ad sets in here and you have a $300 a day budget, each ad sets now can't even achieve 1 sale per day, which is a problem, okay? Now you're really asking the algorithm to get you a cheaper cost per purchase, which sometimes it can't achieve. So you have to keep this in mind. This is an example where we have a large daily budget, but if you're working with, say, a $100 budget and you have a $50 cost per purchase, right? Adding an ad set can have a dramatic effect on how much spend each one of the ad sets gets and whether or not it can achieve a sale per day. And you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, it's recommended to get a consistent volume of sales. We need those conversion events, consistency in those conversion events to have the best optimization possible. So that's reason number 2. Okay. Reason number 3. So these ad sets are optimizing, right? They optimize at the ad set level. They gather conversion data, and they have data, right? They have conversion data. They know all about the people and their habits, what websites they've visited. It's like all this conversion data holds metadata, right? And that is stored in the ad set level. Great. So what happens if you go and add a new ad set in there with something that's, let's say it's completely new ads? Well, what's going to happen? It may not get spent. Okay, Meta, if you're optimizing for, let's say, highest volume, lowest cost, Meta is more than likely going to continue to spend on what it knows can get you those lowest cost, highest volume conversions conversions versus something that's completely untested. So what I found with a lot of the people that come to me, the new ad set with the new ads that they introduce into this CBO doesn't get any spend. And what do? The guys on YouTube will tell you it's a bad ad, it's not good, you need to go make new creative. The people they spend money on UGC, they spend money on designers, they go and make new ads. They do it again, they introduce another ad set with some new ads in there, it doesn't get spent again. Oh, damn. And then this cycle continues. And really, you just end up spinning your wheels and wasting money and time. So that's a huge problem. Adding something that is untested into an environment that is optimized in a certain way already. Okay, so it's not a fair test whatsoever, right? Because this new ad set is competing against ad sets that are optimized. So it's really not a clean, fair test in my opinion. I rather you do an ABO, right, where all the ad sets, they don't even impact one another. They're separate environments, if you will. And you're starting from zero. Let's say all static images, for example, starting from zero, no optimization, then you can truly see what is going to perform best. So one point about if it doesn't get spend, it's a bad ad. Okay, I hear this all the time. I see it on Twitter. I see it on Reddit. I see it on YouTube. It's driving me crazy. They basically say the algorithm knows best. If it doesn't get spend, that means it's a bad ad. It's nonsense, okay? So I've done it so many times where I have an ad set with several ads. The top spending ad is doing great and the remaining ads don't get any spend. And I will duplicate that ad set, okay? And I will exclude the one that got all the spend and I'll find another winner, okay? So it's not that the other ads are bad, it's that Meta thought that that ad amongst all the ads was the best, okay? And so you can actually find more and more winners by doing what I just described. So let's say you have an ad set with 5 ads. One of them gets all the spend. The remaining 4, you would consider them as untested basically. And so you can duplicate that ad set into a new campaign, or if it's an ABO, you can do a new ad set and you just have those remaining 4 and then you make those compete for spend. You might find 1 or 2 new winners and you can continue that process and basically like get the most out of your ads, right? So not to mention Meta's algorithm is not always right, guys. Okay, there's so many people that, say, oh, trust the algorithm 100%. Look, I do trust the algorithm to a degree, but I have seen Meta's algorithm skew spend towards something that gives me terrible results many, many times. So it's so important that you step in when it starts to do that and guide the algorithm. Turn off that poor performing ad or ad set and let it distribute to the rest. And a lot of the times you'll find you optimize it and you find something that performs better. So if Meta's algorithm was right every single time, my job wouldn't exist. Okay, so look, I trust the algorithm, like I said, but I direct the algorithm. I control the algorithm as best that I can, right? I guide the algorithm, let me put it that way. And my goal is to make my clients and myself as much money as possible, not Meta, okay? We pay Zuckerberg enough. He's got his boats, his watches, his yacht. He's good. We need to make sure that the clients and ourselves are making the money now. So that's why you need to be very strategic. You can't wholeheartedly trust the black box, right? You have to use your brain, use your common sense. That was reason number 3. Reason number 4 why this is a bad strategy, and maybe the most important reason. Okay, you have a big CBO with a bunch of ad sets, and that's it. That's your one campaign. What happens if you have a terrible day, right? Or a terrible stretch of a week or so? What are you going to do, right? All you can do really is downscale it, lower the budget, or turn it off, and now you're turning off all these ad sets, right? It's a big problem. You don't have a lot of options when you have this one CBO that all the ad sets kind of are linked in a way. They're all kind of competing for spend. All you can do, like I said, is lower the budget or turn it off. Now, what happens if you have various single ad set CBOs or even multi-ad set CBOs? That's a valid strategy, or various ad sets inside an ABO. Well, when things go bad, and also you're using various strategies, or you're using broad, you're using interest, you're using lookalikes. Well, when things go bad, all the ad sets, all the campaigns are not affected the same. And you have a lot of options to turn things off. So like a diversified stock portfolio, you have a lot of options to sell things off if you'd like. Maybe if you're doing, tax loss harvesting, if any of you guys invest, or, if you need to sell off an investment that's doing poorly, you can do that. When you have the one CBO strategy, you can't, right? All you could do is lower that one budget. So that's why it's suboptimal. It's like your hands are tied, when you have a diversified portfolio of campaigns and ad sets, all using different strategies, you can pick and choose. You can start from the worst performing thing and lower that budget, or turn off that ad set or campaign and leave everything else alone and just ride out the bad period, and then hopefully you come back. So that's the last reason, guys. So yeah, that's why I think that's a bad strategy. I have an entire video of testing strategies that I want you guys to check out. It's very comprehensive. It explains everything, and I think you're gonna get a lot out of it. It's a much more valid way of testing, and to be honest, I've seen really big players, people that are managing millions per month, using these strategies that I'm talking about in this video. I use it myself, and so I know it works. So that's all I had for you guys. Thank you. All right, you guys, that's it for today's video. I hope that was eye-opening for you guys, and that really gave you a better perspective on how the algorithm truly works, and at least points you in the direction of some better testing strategies. Okay, guys, as you can see, the channel is growing. We're at about 3,000 subscribers now. I'm getting a ton of positive comments about my videos, and everybody's basically saying that I'm giving a lot of value, and I'm having a ton of new people join my school community. So I'm over the moon. I'm super excited. So that really just motivates me to make more videos and basically share my strategies as much as I can with you guys. So if you are finding value in these videos, I would really, really appreciate it if you can give these videos a thumbs up. You can share them with people that you think would benefit from them, and definitely subscribe, because I have a lot more value for you guys. I'm working on tons of ad accounts all the time, and I'm discovering new strategies, new settings, new things that you only notice if you're actually in the ads manager every day like I am. As you guys know, I'm not outsourcing my ads to anybody else. I personally run ads for all my clients. And yeah, basically, if you're watching my videos, you can be confident that you're getting information from somebody that's actually doing this. Not an agency owner that outsources and just, flaunts the results of his students or clients, or, his employees' work, right? And it's not just somebody that's only working on these massive ad accounts for big agencies, right? No, I'm cutting my teeth and I'm working on small little ad accounts that honestly, it's like you're trying to start a fire outside in a damp environment, okay? And I've been able to get tons of small ad accounts to work like that. And I'm also working on medium and large ad accounts too. So anyways, you guys, last thing, if you guys want to join my school community, if you want to get one-on-one access with me, if you want to get the inside scoop on things that I'm not posting on YouTube or on Reddit, then you need to join my community. It's only $99, but the price is gonna go up. So if it's still $99 while you're watching this, take advantage. If not, it's still a good value. I'm putting my heart and soul into this group. So make sure you guys don't miss out on that. I really appreciate you for watching. Thank you so much. See you on the next one.